It has been a long time, but this is Season 3, Part 1. This only covers the first half of the season, and it only covers a few of the main characters. Basically just the big main characters, mostly. First off, we've got Aang invading Avatar. He's a 4/4, he's green-white, he's a legendary human monk, and he costs 2 green-white. He's got flying and first strike, and whenever Aang invading Avatar attacks, tap target creature an opponent controls, and your opponents can't cast spells during combat. Now, Aang is mostly kept secret after he's supposedly defeated after the events of Season 2, and when the invasion starts during the eclipse, Aang flies into the city undetected. He's got the element of surprise and just isn't joking around with his bending. I thought flying and first strike handled this nicely. He's just kind of there first, and he's flying around and doing stuff. He takes out a couple of Dai Li agents pretty easily, and helps his friends get through obstacles like that, so tapping creatures down felt appropriate. And as far as opponents not being able to cast spells during combat, I felt that kind of showed off the surprise element again, as well as the powerlessness of the firebenders on Day of Black Sun. It may be slightly misplaced, I don't know, but I really like it. Alright, next we have the Painted Lady, or, Qara, if you know the events of the season. She's a 2/2 blue-white, legendary spirit human, and she costs just that, white-blue. Hexproof, the Painted Lady can't be blocked, and you can tap her to prevent all damage that will be dealt to target creature you control this turn. Beginning of Season 3, we get to see Qara as the Painted Lady. Acting as such, she doesn't really utilize her tremendous waterbending abilities as much, but we do get to see her as the caring person she is. Adding a bit of white to her gives her the structures she's trying to give back to the villagers on the floating town. I wanted her to be cheap, low to the ground, and unblockable because she infiltrates the Fire Nation factory and she's seemingly untouchable when she's dressed up as the spirit, hence the hexproof. She heals people through the group's stay by the town, so I guess preventing damage to your creatures kind of showed that off a bit. She doesn't heal everyone all at once, but rather kind of a few at a time over your different nights. That kind of shows here. I also made her a spirit to nod to the fact that she's emulating the real Painted Lady. Or this could just be the real Painted Lady anyway. You decide. Ooh. Saka, respectful student. He's a 1/2 green, white, blue legendary human. He costs 1 green, white, blue. When Saka, respectful student, enters the battlefield, create a colorless legendary equipment artifact named Saka's Jian. With equipped creature gets +2/+2. Whenever equipped creature blocks or becomes blocked by an equipped creature, destroy all equipment attached to that creature at the end of combat, and equip 1. And whenever Saka, respectful student, attacks or blocks, you draw a card. Saka's master gives us a glimpse at his softer, more humble side. Under the tutelage of Piandiao, Saka learns how to be meek, thoughtful, and disciplined. They find a meteorite and Saka creates a beautiful sword from the ore, so when Saka, respectful student, enters the battlefield, you create his custom double-edged straight sword known as a Jian. It's an unparalleled weapon in the universe for non-benders, and it's easily able to cut through metal. So if the equipped creature deals combat damage to another creature with a weapon, it'll just destroy it. Another big part of Saka's training is learning battle techniques and strategy. So whenever he's on the offensive or defensive, he gains more knowledge, drawing us a card. Toof, Melon Lord, she's a red-green legendary human, and she costs 4 red-green. And she has whenever you attack, create X 1/1 colorless rock golem artifact creature tokens, where X is the number of attacking creatures. And then whenever you are attacked, create a colorless equipment artifact named Rock. Yes, it's just bringing back the rock from Togo. Isn't that kind of neat? Toof is the Melon Lord. I know this is kind of a bit silly, but I thought it was kind of fun. And it really does show off what Toof is capable of. When her friends attack, she can shoot fireballs, or on the flip side, whenever you attack, she can create a bunch of golems that attack as well. It's all kind of shown pretty well in the show. I wanted to utilize the rock equipment because I thought it was very thematic. Dealing direct damage is more of a red ability, and I thought the flaming rocks she's chucking kind of really do it justice. They're all on fire and whatnot. Alright, moving on to Zuko, Reinstated Prince. 6/2 black-red legendary human noble. Costs 3 black-red. Whenever Zuko, Reinstated Prince, attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and until end of turn, that creature gains fire breathing, basically. Zuko is not okay in the first half of the season. He's so conflicted with himself that he lashes out at Mei, Iroh, and then sends an assassin after Aang. I hope this card represents that a bit. When he attacks, you put a creature going to assassinate and make him bigger with fire breathing. This season represents Zuko's turning point, but we can't forget what he did before he learns what he needs needs to do. I feel like his power would be a lot more in this moment due to his rage, but I do think he's easily beaten because of that, and I think the power and toughness here reflect that a little bit as a 6/2. Iroh Patient Prisoner. He's a 1/1 white legendary human, and he just costs white. And you can pay 1 and a white to put a +1/+1 counter on Iroh Patient Prisoner, which you can only activate it as a sorcery. You know, Iroh just sits in prison for a long time in the first half of this season. He's still a pillar of strength and dignity, but only when he wants to show it. I think he's kind of planning an escape all along, and he prepares himself during the duration of his stay. I feel like he got a little weak and defeated when he first got there and doesn't really seem to fight immediately, but later on, he busts out of prison after he made himself stronger, or bigger as far as magic term goes, so his ability to get stronger on his or our own terms feels pretty good. And I thought activating only as a sorcery, he kind of is getting bigger without the opponents knowing when he's getting bigger. That's kind of how I'm twisting it to match what happens in the show. But he doesn't really play too much of a big part in the show until later in the season, but he's still here, patiently waiting. All right, that was going to be the last one, but I thought it'd be so cool to do a mid-season kind of special card. We've got Aang and Zuko. It's like a team-up card. 3/3 red-white legendary human monk. It costs hybrid Boros, 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 Boros. So that's 4 Boros signs. It's got training, so whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and you can pay 1 red-white to deal 3 damage to any target, and you gain 3 life. So I felt like this part of the show is just so critical to just everything. And they learn from the fire-breathing masters. Aang and Zuko learn what fire bending is all about, and they go in as students. So whenever you attack with a dragon, let's say, it'll get bigger because they're learning from the masters. And then I basically stapled a lightning helix to the card to just deal 3 damage to any target, and you gain 3 life. Fire is detrimental, so dealing the damage, but it can also be life-giving, providing warmth and stuff like that. I think that's a pretty unique card, and I really like it. I don't know if it's broken or not, but I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, speaking of that, I know these cards are not balanced. I did not do any play testing with them or anything, but it was kind of fun coming up with all the abilities and such. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for helping me finish this one. It's been like a year since I did the last one at least. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my Patreon subscribers. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss your weekly dose of magic.